I started gaining weight. I started to feel like not so much myself. I had depression. I had anxiety. I had, face acne. I just did not feel great. And it was so off from my usual personality.
Welcome, everyone, to Health Coach TV. I'm your host, Dr. Shauna Menard, and we are here with the amazing Audrey Gerber. I am so excited for you to get to meet her. Let me just introduce her properly. She is an integrative health coach who helps women struggling with PMS and period issues to balance their hormones naturally and holistically. Her desire is to empower women in their feminine journey and connection to their body so they can live a radiant and energized life at any moment of their cycle. She grew up in Switzerland and in Quebec, Canada, and she is currently living in La Belle Province, Quebec, Canada. So with that, welcome, Audrey.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited.
It's such a delight. You are such a bright light and so happy. And it's always going to be fun when we talk to Audrey. And so tell us, what is it that you do now, Audrey?
Yeah, you've introduced me so well. So basically what I do is I help women that are struggling with PMS or any period issues and who want to balance their hormones naturally when they don't want to get on the pill or when they want to quit the pill.
Yeah, that's so good. Because a lot of women don't think that they have a choice, like that if they're having these troubles, this is what they had to do. I know growing up, there was a lot of girls that's just what they did. And they didn't even, another option that it didn't have to be that way, never even entered into the conversation. So what had you get into this line of work? How did you come around to doing this?
Yeah, well, exactly like you said, I didn't know there was an option when I was younger. And I had terrible imbalances and I was put on the pill for a good chunk of years. And the result of me being on the pill was that I started gaining weight. I started to feel like not so much myself. I had depression. I had anxiety. I had, face acne. I just did not feel great. And it was so off from my usual personality. And people were like, oh, you're a teenager, it's normal. But I wasn't doing great. I wasn't doing good. And then it got to the point where, my body physically was not able to take more of the pill. And I remember I secretly cold turkey stopped it because my body didn't feel great. I took the pill and I felt like I wanted to throw it up. And I started researching and I was like, what's going on? And then I saw some like side effects of the pill and I was like, oh my goodness, I might never have children if I keep taking this medicine. It's a medicine. And I didn't know, and I had no understanding of it. So I got super scared and I stopped and I didn't tell anyone. And then my depression got away and I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And that's when I started to understand, okay, it was really a medicine that had a huge impact on my body, and my body was asking me to stop it. Yeah. And so I stopped, but then I didn't have all of the knowledge. I just knew that I didn't want to get on the pill. So that was all I had. And I just kept on moving. But obviously my hormones were still unbalanced and I still had struggles. I still had overweight. I still had some anxiety. I had headaches. I had pain. And I thought I could push through. I thought, all the women in the world have to deal with this. Everyone has struggles. Some have it worse than me. So why would I complain? So I just pushed through it until I could no longer push through. And it was too much for my body. I would come back home and I was so exhausted. I was drained. I could not do anything. I could not work. And I was like, okay, there's something seriously wrong and it needs to be fixed right now. And I started looking more into natural meal planning and medicine and plants, and I started to feel better. And then suddenly I discovered, a teacher taught me that PMS is a sign of hormonal imbalance. It can be fixed. It doesn't have to be this way. And I was blown away. And I remember she taught me this on a Friday afternoon. From Friday night to Monday early morning, I did research. That's all I did the entire weekend. I was like, what are you telling me? I don't have to go through this. I researched everything and I started applying the things that I had learned. And the changes were so big that I decided I would learn more and I would specialize in this and I would just keep on researching.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, talk about when you first start, it's a bad situation that just got worse. So the pill actually made a bad situation worse. And as a doctor, I know that those pills are not without side effects. In fact, as a radiologist, a fellow radiologist, his daughter in her 20s, now she was also a smoker, but she had the pill and she had blood clots, went to pulmonary embolus, and she actually died because of the pill. The pill put her at risk for that. So it's not overtly benign. Most people do fine with it, and if you use it, you're probably fine, but it's not, it's not the actual solution that your body's looking for. And yeah, when you get those signs, there's something. And how interesting when you start to look for answers, or when they say the student is ready, the teacher appears, and it looks like that's what happened for you. And then that allowed you just to dive in and really crack the code on some of this. Tell me some of the things that you discovered that were helpful and in your journey. What were some of the things? So you talked a little bit about it's a sign of a hormonal imbalance. Well, how do you balance the hormones? And if it's imbalanced, don't you have to take hormones to balance it back? Or your body can't do it on its own, can it?
Yes, it can. That's the beauty of it. That's such a great question. The thing that got me started, and that was the big aha moment for me, is understanding, well, I have a cycle, and the cycle ends with my period, but what happens the rest of the month? Mm-hmm. That's when my hormones get, my brain signals to my body to produce or not produce or detox from the hormones. And if somewhere in that cycle, my brain is sending me signals that are off, then my hormones get imbalanced. And that's what's really causing the imbalance. And I'm only feeling it around my period or before my period. But in reality, the issue happens before that. And so it was diving into, how can I make sure that the signal and the communication between my brain and my hormones is easy, it's clear, and it's happening when it's supposed to be happening, so that I'm sure that I get the correct levels that are being produced and the correct levels that are being detoxified by my own body.
Yeah. Excellent. So is this your journey and your struggles, and then getting on the other side of it, clearing your skin and getting your joy back and your sleep back and your body back, losing the stubborn weight? So many women struggle because they are eating all the right things, or so they think, but they can't get rid of that weight gain as one of those side effects of that. So is that what led you to become a health coach in the first place?
Yes. I think the real motivation in my heart was to see it was so easy. And the only thing I was lacking was the understanding of my cycle and someone to walk me through the steps that I had to take. And I thought, if this is so easy, imagine the change I could do if I could be that woman for the others, and how many women could change their lives and then change the world. And it's like, the information is out there.
Yeah.
I just want to be the next messenger to bring that on.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how is it that you work with your clients? How does that work? How do you bring them through that change? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll usually take them with their specific symptoms. So whether that is, the acne, the pain, the headaches, anything, the mood swings, anything that happens, we take them there and we start to look at their unique cycle. So I basically walk them through their understanding of their cycle. I teach them what they need to know as a woman. Like, your biology is not a tiny version of a man's biology. It has very specific things. Right. And then what does it look like for you, your unique situation, your unique life? And then I carry them, I walk them through the changes that need to happen for them to have a lifestyle that fits those needs, the needs of their biology. And so when we go through the program together, we start with looking at their symptoms. And then by the end, they have a good enough understanding of their own cycle and how they need to apply the understanding to their everyday life. And even when life changes, how they can apply that into a sustainable habit so that they know how to handle any issue that might come their way. And they can, the PMS symptoms are gone by then. It's like, okay, now I'm ready to face whenever there's a change, whenever something happens, I have what I need and I can brace for it. And I know that my body will be fine.
Yeah, because it's one thing to be, so you help them, get rid of the PMS and, do all of those things. And it's one thing to do that when everything's great, but we all know life changes. If anything that we know lately, and you listening out there, you know that life throws you curveballs. So to be able to be have a foundation that's strong and so that you can be resilient in the face of all of these challenges, and you can go through them without reverting back. That's really powerful. So it's life changing. It really is life changing.
It really is, and it prepares them for any stages of life. I have clients who are like, well, I'm planning on having a child soon. Like, does this change anything? And it's like, yes, it does. You will have the tools that you need for before, during, and after birth. Like, you have this understanding that your situation is completely different, but you were equipped to walk through all of these transitions.
Yeah, once your body's back into balance and you know how to get it into balance, you know how to maintain the balance, then is the body's a miracle that will heal itself if we give it half a chance. And it's how do we give it half a chance? And a lot of us are doing the opposite of giving it half a chance. We're making it really hard to navigate life, through all of these challenges. So yeah, excellent. That's fantastic. What are some of the spin-off benefits or that you've seen when you're working with clients and they go through that? What things have you noticed, other benefits that they come away with?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the PMS is gone, but I've seen cool things such as I had a client, she had been on a very yo-yo dieting lifestyle. So she would lose a bunch of weight, get a little nervous, eat again and gain a bunch of weight, get super nervous. So she wasn't able to keep a sustainable weight. And then, mid-term, she noticed, oh, my weight hasn't changed since I started working with you. And her program ended last year. And sometimes, I still see her around and she's like, Audrey, it's amazing. My weight it's unchanged. It's the same. It's where I feel good in my body. I feel like I don't have to fight to keep it that way. So cool side benefit, and I've seen it in other clients as well, is their weight stabilizes and it's a weight they're comfortable with. Another really cool benefit is the relationship issues that may have sprung out of the PMS, like the mood swings, and every month there's kind of like an inner critic voice that comes out and you say something and you regret it. And I had a client who recently told me, she was like, Audrey, my relationship with my husband is completely different. Now that I don't have to worry about whatever happens every month. I know it's going to be okay. He knows it's going to be okay. We get to have clear, good communication. I feel good about myself. So I live off of that. And then he reacts to that and we're happier. So yeah, relationship things too happen and they're great benefits.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I mean, it really is life-changing, the difference, when you don't have to deal with the pain and potentially life-saving, as we kind of referenced earlier, who knows what they're preventing. And why is it important to deal with the PMS? So what, PMS? Doesn't everybody have it? What's the big deal if you have it? Why is it important even obviously people who have it severe they kind of know they can't function, and they know why it's important. But why is it really important not just to put up with it and just go, well, everybody else is like that. It's just what we have to do. Why is this important to get on the other side of?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way that I found to explain it is as if you're driving a car and your body is your car. If there's a signal that lights up, you know that you can't keep on driving because something will happen. And even if you don't know what the signal is, you have enough wisdom in you to pull out or go bring your car to your garage. And this is what is happening with your body. Your PMS is like that light switch that turns on, like the check engine. Something is off somewhere in the body. And if you do not look at it, your car might stop. And you don't know when that might be. And it's different for every woman. But it's like that first light check, that alarm signal that says, there is something off and I'm not going to be able to keep it like this for a very long time. At one point, it's going to break down.
Yeah. It's a signal that something's not right. Your body's trying to speak to you, and we kind of just saying shush, and we just pop a pill on it or something, or just whatever. And we just buy bigger clothes or hide away in our bed or whatever it is. And we just kind of put that Band-Aid over it and without really addressing it. And the problem just gets bigger and bigger until we like bring it back into place. And it doesn't need to be that way, is what you're saying here.
Exactly. And I think there's also a component of, you are not living out in your full potential. Like, you could be changing the world right now. You could be having such a big impact on your family, on your friends, on your community, but that's being prevented because every month you can't trust yourself, or every month your body shuts you down. And imagine what you could do if you had energy every day. Imagine what you could do if your body could like carry you through any storm. Like the potential of the life that we could create if every woman on earth didn't have to worry about her hormones. She would trust her hormones.
Yeah, it's so important. And I remember in university having horrible PMS and horrible pain as well. And it would stop me from, and I'm becoming a doctor. At that point, I was in pre-med before I went into medical school. And I remember in that phase, like it stops you, and you have a lot that you want to do in this world and a lot that you want to learn, and it just takes you out. And I think the other thing, at least for me back then, it's not something people really talk about, and I was, oh, it's gross to think about. I was in so much pain and just feeling so awful. I was like on the floor of a public washroom in the university, and this other girl came in. I was just like, I just needed that. It was just, I felt awful. And this other girl came and she drove me home. Like, I wasn't even able to drive home. It was that level of that. I'm not going to tell, and especially for myself as a doctor, and then in a male dominated specialty of radiology at the time, I'm not going to mention this to anybody because I already feel like I got to be one of the guys if I'm going to ever get ahead here. And the last thing you want to do is show your feminine side, at least 30 years ago when I went through that. And so I think, I think it's better now. But I think there's still a lot of, like, it's not something that we talk about. And so you try to just ignore it, like pretend everything's fine. Everybody expects you to be fine. We have things to do. We're going to be going to here. We're going to be doing this. And if you are not well because of, you sometimes don't know how to explain that. So you come up with other excuses that you give. People label you as some kind of a crackpot or some kind of a fuddy-duddy or whatever, and not understanding that there's a physical issue, health issue here, but we're not really going to talk about it. Why you're not going out with your boyfriend or whatever at this time. And it becomes a joke, right? And it becomes a thing. Oh, are you PMSing? Right?
Yeah, are you on your period?
It's one of those things that women do. That's one of these like little flaws they have that pops up every once in a while. Oh, you're just PMSing. And women feel helpless because they kind of feel like it just comes out of nowhere all the time and they can't do anything about it. So I think the work that you do, Audrey, is at spotlessgirl.com, by the way, the work that you do is hugely important and hugely valuable and life-changing, and really bringing a conversation and a lightness and a ease to it, and a fun is who you are, and a lot of nature, and it's really wonderful. What do you think is one of the biggest myths that women have with regards to PMS?
I think the biggest myth is that PMS is normal. Or that PMS is just a thing that women experience, that it's part of womanhood. You just get to suffer from it. It's your cycle and there's nothing to do about it. And that until recently, like a couple of 100 years ago, we thought it was hysteria. So there was like, we still today we kind of suffer from that idea of like, it's just a part of being a woman and you are the problem, obviously, so there's nothing to be done about it. Which, like you mentioned, totally, completely untrue. This is a signal that something is off that needs your attention. It doesn't make you weaker. It doesn't make you a problem. The problem is not in your head. Like, there's actually a physical imbalance that gets to be put back into balance, and then the symptoms disappear. And that's okay. You get to have a life without the suffering of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it is seen sometimes, I think, as a weakness. So
Yeah.
she's tough,
Oh, yes.
tough. She's good. She's tough, and
Yeah.
and it's like that. There's that this is, well, you're just weak. Like somebody was tough with whatever. Versus if you had if you broke your leg,
Yeah.
say, look at you with the weak leg. Well, it's broken. It needs to be fixed. Then it will be strong again, and then it will be strong. But it's not who you are. It's just something that you're experiencing at the moment, but it's not who you are. And I think
Exactly.
people get really wrapped up in it because it's part of their day-to-day, moment-to-moment, month-to-month life.
Exactly.
That they start to take it on and wear it like a badge. Like this is, and especially when you start to get medicated for it, it must be. And yeah.
Yeah.
Such an important conversation to have. I think if women take nothing else away from this, what Audrey's saying is it doesn't have to be that way, and it's not your fault. We're kind of, our society is set up for you to have it with our diets and our lifestyles.
Exactly.
It's a setup. So it's probably the rare woman that does not have it. So it's set. It's geared. And evidence of that. Look at other cultures; they don't have it.
Yeah.
If you go outside North America and you go into some other cultures, they aren't experiencing this, but they have a different diet. They don't have the stressful lifestyles and things like that. So it's not anything wrong with you, but it is something that needs to be addressed and attuned to. Yeah. Awesome. What are some, okay, so let's say that there's a woman out there now and she's like, well, this is all really great. I know that there's something that I can do about it. This is life-changing in itself, just to know that I could do something about it. Maybe a little bit like that teacher that you first had that says, hey, how about we look at things a little bit differently and know that there is an option. What can you tell that woman that is listening in right now who's suffering with PMS? What are some tips that you can share?
Mm-hmm. The first thing that I want women to understand is that you have a monthly cycle. I mentioned this earlier, but your cycle is not just what happens on your period. It's that everything happens within that month. And the reason it's a monthly cycle is because there are changes in your body. There are changes in your brain structure. Like from week to week, if I take a picture of your brain, it looks slightly different because there are fundamental changes in your body in your monthly cycle, which means your needs are different from week to week. So my first tip would be, don't assume that you need the same things week after week. Sometimes you need that green smoothie, but sometimes you need more protein. Sometimes you need to focus on, like more cooked and warm foods. And sometimes you need to focus on cold and fresh foods. And that's okay. Like you can eat half a salad and be satisfied. And the next week you need to have 5 portions of salads. And that's okay. That's normal. So the first thing you need to understand as a woman is, don't look at your healthy lifestyle as something that happens in 24 hours. Look at it as something that happens over the course of 28 days. And it's okay for things to shift. It's okay for you to sleep an extra 20 minutes the week before your period because your body needs it. And that's all right. And you will not need it like after your period. And that's okay. It doesn't make you any weird. It's just understanding that sometimes you want to focus on sleep. Sometimes you want to focus on green smoothies. Sometimes you want to focus on cardio. And sometimes you want to focus on like strength building. Those are different things that don't have to all happen in one day.
Yeah, really good. Kind of like working with your body, listening to your body, getting good at hearing what your body's need. Your body's like screaming for help, and then getting good at listening to decoding what is the signals. It's like, okay, I understand you're not happy. What do you want? And so I guess you're that guide on the side that tells them, helps them decode what they need, but really just follow their intuition, trust their intuition. And if it feels like they're needing this, that can take, that does require some guidance, because sometimes what we feel like is what we've done, and because it feels familiar. So it feels like I need 5 chocolate bars is what it feels like my body is asking for. And it's because we've had that before, and then we've got the sugar crush and the sugar craving, and we're on this, and it's hard here. It's kind of like, well, if people meditate, they'll know what I'm talking about. But if you're at a rock concert, it can be hard to hear even your cell phone, right? Your cell phone can be in your pocket, but it can be hard to hear that it's ringing because it's like so noisy. And a lot of our lives are so noisy, it can be hard to hear that. And I think that our body gives us, well, sometimes it's not so subtle messages, but it gives us a lot of subtle messages before it gets to like the big problem. And but it's easy to miss them in our noisy world because you can't hear it. And that's where like meditation is really helpful to quiet, and you get a chance to hear what it's trying to say. And for some women, that's going to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. But the simple things like drinking water can be simple, easy things that people can do today. And it doesn't seem like it's anything, so people don't do it. The pill seems like something that will do something, so that's why they'll do it. They're underestimating. What are some things that are simple that people underestimate the power of? Like water, something. Is that one of them? Or what are some simple things that they could do? And they might not even think that it makes a difference, but it really, can start them on that path.
Yes. And I just want to say, one of the things I hear the most out of my client's mouth is, oh, that's why. Oh, I knew it. That's why I felt this way. I knew it. So yeah, I totally agree. Your body's giving you subtle signals. And then when you finally understand, you're like, oh, this is what was happening. Now I get it.
Yeah.
But yes, water. And I would even add warm water with lemon in it. First thing in the morning. Get that detoxifying system running. Make sure that everything gets cleared up really quickly. Get your energy. Yes! I love it. Like, just that. Start with this. Get some anti-inflammatory foods in your meal. Add some turmeric. Add some cinnamon. Reduce the sugar and make sure that your blood sugar levels are going a little bit down, so you can kind of just enjoy a good flow. And then another easy thing, go to bed at the same time every night.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Seems so crazy, but this is what gets your body into a rhythm, and your body is able to recognize what rhythm needs to happen when, if you just give it a regular time. So go to bed every night at the same time.
It's one of those things that's easy to do and easy not to do.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't seem like it would work. And over again, it is those simple things that make the most powerful difference. And those are some really great tips. I encourage you to start putting some of them together. They might not seem much, but you piece enough of those days together, it starts to shift. But there's a lot to it about decoding your body and figuring out what are the messages, and knowing you've done the trial and error hard way of all of the struggle of going through all of that and doing all the research to find out what works. And you've cracked the code on this so that you can confidently guide these women through, and just know you'll get there, and, allow the spin-off benefits to be there as it may, which is, I know, so rewarding for you. I know you love working with these women and forming this community. Fantastic. How can people connect with you and or ask you questions? They might be like, well, this all sounds good, but I need a little bit more help than that. Like, it's really bad. I'm maybe like what Audrey was, or maybe I'm worse, or maybe I'm somewhere in there. I think I need some guidance. Can she point me in the right direction? How can they connect with you if they have questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they can find me on my website, spotlessgirl.com. The best, easy, most efficient way to have my support is to book that first free consultation. And then I can hear what you have to say. I can hear the issues, and I can start guiding you. Like, this is way easier for you to try to apply what I'm saying and say, does this fit with my situation, or does this doesn't fit? Let's just talk about it, and then you'll know. That's the most easy thing to do and the most efficient. So you can book a call through the website, and you can find me also on social media through my website as well, if you're just curious.
Awesome. So, I want to thank you. So that's Audrey Gerber, and she is of spotlessgirl.com. You got to check her out. And she has lots of great tips. She's a fantastic expert in this field. And I just want to thank you, Audrey, for learning what you needed to do to overcome your challenges there with that, and then for having that heart to bring these women through to that freedom, to help them lose weight, clear their skin, find their joy, have fun in their relationships, and really, go out and do the work, to have the life that they were meant to live without this holding them back. So I just want to thank you for being with us and sharing your brilliance with our viewers. So thank you, Audrey.
With great pleasure. Thank you for having me. You are the best.
Awesome. Well, with that, that ends this episode. Stay tuned. We'll have more episodes coming up. As always, go on out there, apply these simple little tips, and notice, regardless, even if you're a guy, these simple little tips of, getting that water in, having a regular time, listening to your body, they apply to you too. And yes. So it has broad ranging effects. So incorporate those, and we will see you in the upcoming episodes. Reach out to Audrey at spotlessgirl.com. And with that, have a fantastic week. And of course, be good for you.